Ben Heather here from Kingdom MMA, and I'm here today on Skype with Nick Hein, who will be fighting James Vick at UFC Fight Night 57 on November the 22nd in Austin, Texas. First of all, hi Nick, and thank you for taking some time out to answer our questions.
Thanks for having me.
That's all right. First of all, I'd like to start by asking you a few questions about yourself. Am I right in saying you work as a police officer? And what's it like balancing a career in the UFC as well as a career in the police?
Well, you're absolutely right. I am a police sergeant in the federal police in Cologne, and I'm actually I've been in this job now almost already 10 years now, and at first I was when I did the education for the police, the training and stuff, I was a judo player, and they had this project for talented sports people, which were seen as maybe. So this is how I already had a double-sided career, as a police officer and as a sportsman. And eventually I quit with judo, and I exchanged judo with MMA. So actually right now I don't really feel different from the time when I did the judo and the police job. So all my life it has always been like a two-sided road all the time. Like, for example, when I was a kid, for me it was normal, school and directly after training for judo, every day. And then it eventually changed with the job in judo and now job in MMA. I'm really used to this double how you say that, to work on both sides. So when I have my preparation now, of course the focus is definitely on training. I'm really committed to that, and I got my opportunities to focus on my training, really when it's getting in the really important part of the preparation. Till now it worked out, and I think in Germany right now I'm one of a kind MMA player, because I think there's no MMA fighter that is also involved that much in the actual fighting and in the police force. And so till now it has worked out, and I hope that I can go this way, like this, much longer.
You mentioned that you fought at a high level in judo. What made you change from doing just the judo to getting into MMA?
Well, there was different, many different happenings or things that happened in my life that made me eventually change my passion. First of all, it's really almost 14 years ago, I got this VHS of UFC 1. This really old. I think everyone saw it, when Royce Gracie won the first UFC, and I remember when I saw this, I was so stunned. I was so directly infected by this idea that to prove yourself against other kind of martial artists. So this was the first time this idea grew and started to grow in my mind. And then of course there were different things that happened. For example, in 2008 I was one of the Olympic prospects, guy that came to the closer circle of athletes which are eventually going to the games. And I remember that I had the worst year of preparation. I don't know. I failed in the competition. Eventually, I broke my leg, and I was lying in the hospital for about 2 weeks. And every day this hospital was a long day of thinking about my life, and if I'm happy with what I'm doing, and I came to the conclusion that I might change something. So 1 year later, I was still in the judo national team. I had to keep it as a secret that I did my first MMA fight. I was actually for the training camp for the World Championships of Judo as a first MMA fight. I had told my national coach at this time that I was invited for marriage, and I want to make sure that I get enough time for the fight. So I said the marriage is far away. It's in Italy. It's a really good friend, and I need to attend this celebration. And actually I had my first fight, and after this I went to the training camp, and this is how it's all started. And the next year I finally stopped judo and became a full-time MMA committed maniac.
You mentioned there that you stopped judo. Is that something that you've done now? You've completely stopped training in judo, or do you still train in judo at all?
Actually, the only time I eat is when I do jiu-jitsu. I really don't attend judo classes anymore. I think it's not because I don't like it, but you really have to also develop, and you need to get used to the fact that the gi is really making a difference. It's way easier to throw somebody when you have really a hold of a grip of cloth, something you can grab. So for MMA, I think the judo throws are good, but you nevertheless have to get used of find a hold of your opponent without the gi. So I really focus more on throwing and wrestling. Doesn't mean that I focus on the typical wrestling throws. I find my way that I can do judo throws, but nevertheless I train it more in wrestling. Yeah.
And like you say there, you've mixed the wrestling and the judo throws together. Where do you think judo fits into MMA? And do you think Europe's best hope of a UFC champion will be a fighter with a judo background? Considering a lot of the Americans have the wrestling background, which isn't the same on the same level in Europe as it is for the Americans.
Yeah, the Americans they have a high standard of wrestling players. They have it's already like based in their sport school. So the university wrestling team is already like high level. They have like really the opportunity to practice that. For example, in Europe, we don't have that. And of course, that's why I think judo is really like step by step finding its way to MMA. I think it fits perfectly in MMA because you have the opportunity to focus more on throwing from out the clinch. And I prefer that kind of throwing because I believe it's less dangerous. Every time you're in a match and you try to take a double leg takedown, you always have to put yourself out to the risk of getting, for example, knee to the head because you're focusing on going to the leg. Of course, you can really perfect that, and there's some players out there that can really do that perfectly. But every time you see people that fail in taking their double leg takedown attempt by getting stopped by a knee, or like when people sprawl, it costs a lot of strength, like fighting like for the better end of the struggle. So in my opinion, like judo throws out of the clinch are way more effective and less dangerous. It's like I always try to compare it to math. How much do I have to invest and how much will I get out? That's why I really believe judo is coming. There's some good judo players right now already at the top of the MMA game, and I think they're showing what judo is capable of. Nevertheless, wrestling is awesome. I really like it. I believe that it's always something that you still have to consider as absolutely necessary.
And you mentioned Royce Gracie earlier. Who are some of the fighters that you look up to in MMA? Would you say it's the likes of Rick Horn or Kara Parisian, who have come up from similar backgrounds, or is it someone completely different?
Of course, I really like also how I saw one time, like, which I thought is absolutely impossible in MMA. I saw Morote scenario of Rick Horn in a judo fight, which I thought is in an MMA fight, which I think really almost knocked him out. I thought that was awesome. But also like big names that used to play judo before, for example, Fedor. He was really mixed it up. Also the sambo mixed it up really perfectly, and Hector Lombard, he's a judo ace, and it's also something that I think we need to consider the high class judo players. It's not always that they really bring in their judo throws to show their class. Usually those athletes, they're really trained well, and you will hardly find any former judo player that is in good physical shape. And I think you will recognize that most professional MMA fighters that came from a judo background have really this, we call it explosive strength ability. So I think there is also something that plays for the judo players in MMA.
Not only do you have your career with the police force and also your career with the UFC, I believe you're also on a TV show in Germany.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about the show and how you got into acting on top of everything else that you do?
Yeah. Well, this show is something really new because it's we have in Germany right now, we have really many of those scripted reality shows, and it's like a flood of scripted reality shows, and people are getting fed up with it, and it's like the first scripted reality fiction, fake black comedy, so it's really making fun of most of these shows, and it has a really dark humor, so it's a comedy show, and in the show I'm playing one of three half brothers, which they are all actually losers. They didn't really manage a good job or a good life for themselves, so they find together and they start a undertaker service. So we are three undertakers, and we actually don't know nothing about our job. We're really total idiots, and this show is, in German we say, it's below the belt. We are breaking many moral standards, and we are it's quite. I remember that I saw the raw cut of the show, and I know that the channels, they really cut our raw cut again because it was too much below the belt. So, and I'm really excited for the show because I think it's the new ones. They are going to be something really interesting, and actually I can tell you, I didn't really attend any acting school or something like this. I was just invited for a casting one time by somebody who's one of the two main writers of the show, and because he knows me out of my judo time, he had like a really nice connection that day in these days, and yeah, he invited me. He said maybe you're just right for the show. So I came there to the audition and I got the role. So now I'm also acting in a Grimme Prize nominated show. Grimme Prize is like one of the prizes, TV prizes in Germany, which was a big surprise that the show was nominated. So yeah, that's something really nice that just happened like this.
Yeah. And you say it's something that you'd not considered before. It was just you got the phone call to say, "Can you come along?"
Yes.
Next thing you know, you're in the TV show.
Absolutely, it's exactly how it happened. And yeah, it's funny because we when we decisioned the 6 new shows, we had actually no idea how much time it would take to air in Germany. So now the show is airing 3 weeks before my fight is now coming in the UFC, which is also a good commercial for MMA in Germany, because MMA had a tough time finding a way in Germany. And, I think also this year with the Austin event in Berlin, now with some other stuff which is happening, MMA is really getting some how you say that, it's getting a place, it's getting its own place.
Getting recognised.
Yes, recognized, right. That's exactly what I wanted to say.
And can you tell us a bit more about the MMA scene in Germany? Obviously, we're based in the UK. I believe it's like I say, it's got a bad perception amongst some people, and I believe it's banned on TV as well, isn't it?
It is. But this is really something the officials, also the UFC, really is trying to work out in, like talking and making the conversation directly with the responsible TV channels. Right? I know for a fact because they were all there at the event in Berlin, and I know, like, when you get some inside knowledge, that they were all really interested, and Berlin really changed a lot. The press was almost everything was positive, and I think this year could really be a point of change for MMA, because for example, there's like this. For example, the Daily Telegraph for Britain is the picture actually would be translation for German, and the Bild is every time now making like a live stream of the events, or at least they broadcast like the European events, and eventually maybe like the event from Texas. I don't know.
Well, let's hope they do.
Yeah, so this is really something big, because now people get the opportunity to watch MMA through a really big medium like the Bild, which is already awesome. And I know that people are right now like talking about maybe an official TV contract. And I mean, what more can we wish for? People didn't believe that this was possible after the event in Cologne in 2009. MMA was totally banned from everything, and the media voice was terrible. Now really people get interested, really interested, because they are fed up with boxing. They are fed up with the ordinary, I don't know, singing shows that are coming every day on every channel, So they're maybe now ready for something new, something good.
Like you say, you signed with the UFC for the return to Berlin, or for the Berlin event earlier this year. Did you attend any of the previous German cards as a fan? And how would you say it compared?
mean the UFC event compared to any German events?
No, from the previous UFC events, comparing to the Berliner one.
I mean, I wasn't able to be part of the Cologne event. This time I was in Japan, but in 2010 or 11 they went to Oberhaus. I was there, and overall, was not. You couldn't compare it to Berlin. Berlin was really off the hook. I mean, I heard that the Dublin event was even more over the top than Berlin. I was just in Berlin. I can say Berlin was really like the best I could imagine. I mean, it was like a big party. There were so many really also important officials from Germany involved in the whole week before the fight. I mean, the 5-week media week. There was so much interest. We went to O2 Arena on the fighting day. It was packed, and the people, everything, the atmosphere was so amazing. I said for me it was like the best party, the best birthday party for myself I could have imagined. And I mean, of course, you feel different when you take part at the event. When you're just watching, but everyone said Berlin was off the hook, and I think the same night it was announced that the UFC would come back to Berlin, so everyone was did a good job, everything worked out, and people are already like, this is so crazy, time goes so fast. People are already like preparing for the next event. They're already